Zohran Mamdani has faced unbelievable backlash by the very same people who are meant to be congratulating him. Mehdi Hasan is on the breakfast show talking about the safety of Mamdani, the criticism against him, past and present, and also the reason for his success. Let's take a look.
You know, have you spoke to Mamdani? The one thing that scares me about Mamdani is when you see the posts like that and you see the amount of hate he's getting.
Yes.
Do you speak to him about security and safety?
Yes.
And how does he feel about that? Because I've never seen so much hate. You know, you can question somebody, but the hate that's coming out of these people, sometimes I feel like it's going to be worse than that. Have you talked to him about security and make sure?
So when I interviewed him just a few weeks ago, it was a day or 2 days after a guy had just been arrested for making death threats against his staff.
Jesus.
And that was before the last few weeks of his campaign, where they really ratcheted it up. This kind of radical Islamic coming. You see, Ted Cruz was tweeting, he's a literal jihadist. I mean, let's just be clear to people watching.
Trump said he hates Jews. I see somebody say he should be deported. Like it's
100%. They're putting up pictures of 9/11, right? They're using 9/11 against this guy who was 9 years old on 9/11.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. Wake up, New York. That's crazy.
Michael Bloomberg funded the super PAC that did that ad with the picture of his face over 9/11. These people should be ashamed of themselves. Andrew Cuomo went on a podcast and laughed when the host said, well, he'd be cheering on another 9/11. Ted Cruz, I mean, it's so hypocritical. These Republicans spent weeks going on about Charlie Kirk. Right? Last time I came on your show, I think it was the day before or the day of the killing of Charlie Kirk. We spent weeks of Republicans saying, if you say fascist, that means you're inciting hate again. If you call us a Nazi, you're going to get us killed. Look at your language. They have spent the last few weeks calling this guy a jihadist. I want to be clear to your viewers. A jihadist, in the eyes of the American political establishment, are the people on the planes. The 9/11 planes, is ISIS, is Boko Haram, is Al-Qaeda. That is what you are comparing him to. That's what you're saying he literally is. Republicans have said one after another, he's a terrorist, he's a jihadist, he's a communist, he hates Jews, he hates America, based on nothing. Of course that's going to incite hate. Of course there's going to be death threats. I do worry about his security. I hope he has good security now that he's the mayor. Before he was the candidate, I think he had a couple of NYPD guys. I hope they have a lot of security. It's scary, the level of Islamophobic. I talk to a lot of Muslims. I am Muslim. Wherever I go, I was in Texas at the weekend. Previous week, I was in California. Wherever I go and speak to Muslims, everyone agrees that the Islamophobia now is even worse than it was after 9/11.
Wow. Why? Just
because they've had a 20-year head start to ratchet their stuff up.
Dang.
They're well organized, they're well funded, and they are petrified. I mean, you see the reactions last night from all the kind of Daily Wire guys and all those guys like, New York's not a real city anymore. It doesn't contain real Americans. I mean, white supremacists are much more emboldened and much more organized than they were under George Bush. I mean, just a reminder, I loathe George Bush. The man should be in The Hague. Dick Cheney died yesterday. I did not shed a tear. But George Bush after 9/11, even George Bush went to a mosque and said, Islam is peace. Let's not blame all Muslims for what happened. Can you imagine Donald Trump doing that today? No. Of course not. None of these Republicans would. And they are waiting for him to kind of pin more stuff on him. The hate is out of control. And the hypocrisy from these people who spent the last month telling us, tone down the language, don't get us killed. And they're doing this stuff. I worry.
The hate against this guy is unbelievable. What a bunch of sore losers, including the president, who said the United States has lost sovereignty and also reported to have said, we'll take care of it, without any context. What did Mamdani promise? A better life, a cheaper cost of living, rent freeze, universal childcare, wage increase, and taxing the rich. Which normal hard-working individual would want to see these changes? The truth is, the only reason he is attacked is because he has criticized Israel and the fact that he's Muslim. There can be no other reason.
what do you say to Mamdani, though, and I would love to ask him this question, for Jewish people who have real fear, right? Or for, Cuban. I was talking to a couple of my Cuban friends last night, and they was like, he's a communist. I'm looking at it now. He's a communist. It's so obvious. Those that have not been affected by communism don't see it and don't care to see it. He's selling an unrealistic dream to unfortunately ignorant people and people who are easily swayed. It's all BS. A guy who's never worked a day in his life living off mommy's money. Fidel Castro was charismatic and made promises. And when he took the reins, he killed his number two and declared he was Marxist. Cuba's been in the shits ever since. What do you say to those people? Why do you tell Mamdani to handle those people?
I would say to Cuban Americans, in good faith, Cuban Americans who worry about communism in Cuba, I would say, I don't remember Fidel Castro's platform being fast and free buses, freeze the rents, universal childcare. To go back to how we began the discussion, like that is not communism. Like you got to go get a dictionary or educate yourself about what communism is. Zohran Mamdani is not a communist. He's a democratic socialist. He is what Bernie Sanders is. And in this country, by the way, democratic socialism is not even real socialism. It's basically European social democracy. It's what the Scandinavians have. You know who has universal childcare? Finland, Iceland, Denmark. Sweden. These countries have universal childcare. They're very nice places, very mild places. Go on holiday, Americans. Go to Sweden. It is not communist Cuba. Like the kind of, again, the incendiary rhetoric. And by the way, I would argue that that's actually a very good position for Mamdani to be in. They know the socialist stuff doesn't work anymore because people are like, we quite like that. So now have you noticed they ratcheted up? He's a communist. Trump said on 60 Minutes, he's not a socialist. He's a communist. So they've even ratcheted that up because they know their attacks aren't working. It's so cynical. And on the anti-Semitism front, last night in his speech, he said, I will stand with Jewish New Yorkers against the scourge of anti-Semitism. He said it again. I interviewed Brad Lander last night, who was one of the main guys who endorsed him during the race, one of his top allies, Jewish American, standing up to this stuff. It's all BS. I would point out, by the way, 1 in 3 Jewish Americans, according to the exit poll, Jewish New Yorkers voted for Mamdani, right? The majority didn't. But 1 in 3 voted, a significant minority of Jewish people. This is not a monolithic community, the Jewish community. Like any community, there are different views. And 1/3 of Jews in New York said, you know what? We like Zohran Mamdani. We don't buy the BS about Zohran Mamdani. And I've said this many times to people. Show me the one anti-Semitic statement he's made. Show me one. Just one statement. There's not one.
They was pointing to rap lyrics. I can't remember what the lyrics are, but they was telling me these rap lyrics.
No, there was rap lyrics about he was supporting a group of Muslims who had been detained at the time. It was a very controversial case during the War on Terror during the Bush period. The Holy Land Foundation folks who were accused of channeling money to Hamas. That's a civil liberties issue. You can disagree or agree with it. That was his position. I challenge anyone to find me a statement from Zohran Mamdani where he says something anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic. In fact, it's the opposite. He spends his time cherishing diversity. He is the diversity candidate. It was Andrew Cuomo who went on MSNBC and confused Eugene Daniels with Jonathan Capehart. 2 black men got them the wrong way around and said, well, diversity is not in that, that's not our strength, and all this crap that we're hearing. So it's so cynical, the weaponization of anti-Semitism against, let's be honest, it's not about anti-Semitism, it's about the fact that he's anti-Israel. The fact that he's a critic of Israel. And it's a conflation of the two. He's very unapologetic about his criticism of Israel. That's what pissed all these people off.
Mehdi is absolutely right, and New York deserve a mayor with some cojones. Let's face it, even when he was asked in a recent press conference if he was willing to have a meeting with India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he said no. He said Modi is a war criminal who killed thousands of people in Gujarat. I mean, when was the last time a mayor spoke up for his people like that? The other reason is, what the hell does Israel even have to do with New York? The guy's got no interest in Israel. He shouldn't be forced in any way to show his support for Israel. His priority is and should be for the citizens of New York.
Let me ask you about that, because I did CNN last night with Ben Shapiro, and he referred to him as anti-Israel, and I was like, is it fair to say he's anti-Israel, or is he anti the Israeli government that is, committing war crimes?
Yeah.
In Gaza?
Well, he's definitely anti that, as every person with a heart should be. If you're not anti this Israeli government, you're a sociopath. But in terms of the actual, they would argue, let me just be fair to the critics. The critics would say he is anti-Israel because when he was asked, does it have a right to exist as a Jewish state? He says he believes it has a right to exist with equality for everyone. And this goes to the debate around Zionism and the nature of a Jewish state. Zohran Mamdani's position is, I'm an American. I believe in equal rights for everyone. I want that everywhere. Israel doesn't have that. Palestinians aren't full first-class equal citizens in Israel, even inside of Israel. So that's what I support. The funny thing is, he also says that about Saudi Arabia. He says that about India, right? He's criticized the Indian government for its nationalism, ethno-nationalism. He's against ethno-nationalism. We're Americans. We should all be against ethno-nationalism. So it's all exaggerated, I think, a lot. But you're right. Fundamentally, he's against genocide in Gaza, as are most Americans, as are 40% of American Jews think it's a genocide in Gaza. Again, not a monolithic community. But that's what really annoyed Bill Ackman. That's what annoyed Ben Shapiro. Not anything to do with anti-Semitism. That's all been completely cynically weaponized against him. And you'll see that as mayor.
This is exactly why there is divide right now. You have Western governments supporting Israel, supporting a state committing a genocide as per the UN, Amnesty International and international genocide scholars. To support a genocidal state, you need to think and behave in a certain way. Then when someone like Mamdani comes along who wins an election with honesty, sincerity and love from New Yorkers, you cannot expect the Western leaders who have been complicit in a genocide to welcome someone like him with open arms. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Support me by liking and subscribing, and I'll see you all on the next video. Peace out.